This is Infection, the survival podcast recorded live on Tuesday, September 22nd, 2020, episode 297. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to another episode of Infection, the survival podcast. Infection is your source for the latest information on survival video games. This week it might be some more general gaming news, but we normally bring you the latest news, reviews, updates, and more each and every week. My name is Nick Craig. You can follow me on Twitter at Nicholas M. Craig. You can also check me out on, oh crap, what is that social media that brought? Parler at Nicholas M. Craig as well. And of course, visit our website, infectionpodcast.com. Joining me as he does, looking dapper as always, Mr. Brian. You got the lumberjack look going on tonight, Mr. Brian.
Yeah, that's what I figured. I might as well get the beard going. Might as well go for a little bit of
who you actually look like? Who's the guy that sells the paper towels? I'm talking the paper towel, the paper towel brand that's got the lumberjack on it. He wears the red. I don't know what the brand is, but
lumber.
You kind of got that guy.
Brawny?
Yeah, you're the brawny guy. Yeah.
I'm gonna put my arms up like that. Isn't that how he does it?
Well, I'm trying to look. Well, now that I think about it, he actually really don't look like this guy at all.
Yeah, I don't look like. I don't know. Like him, really.
I thought
he's got brown hair.
I thought he looked different. Now that I'm, yeah. He looks like a 50s. He looks like a Fallout character, like a model person of a 50s Fallout guy.
Yeah.
Well, sorry.
Well, that's all right. We'll keep working on it. Hey, well, if you want to find me, you can find me, of course, at Brian Aldridge, as Nick said, on Parler, or you can go check out my blog, biteoftech.com. Also, you can go check out our website. If you go check out infectionpodcast.com, just go to the right-hand side. First of all, I encourage you to go join our server on Discord. That's where we all hang out. Pretty much all the chatting and jokes and everything else that people do are on there. Also, you can submit news if there's some possibly a topic that you think we should be covering, a game we should be covering. You could submit that to the news channel, and then we review that before every show. So most likely it'll get added to the topics. If you join the Steam group, you get a notification right before the live show starts. Of course, we have our video formats. We have BitChute, DLive, Twitch, and YouTube. A number of those are broadcasted live during the show. Also, a number of those have video saved there, so you can watch it at any time. But if you want to listen to the audio form, down the lower right hand side, we got links for all of those for desktop apps, web-based apps, and also for mobile devices. And then for the actual episodes, if you go to for this one, will be 297. It'll have links and everything else for all the different topics that we're going to be discussing today, and a link to the video and audio only form. So if you want to listen or watch and follow along while you're doing that, that's a great place to do that. And then if you want to support us, you can do that through either amazon.infectionpodcast.com, humble.infectionpodcast.com, or through your Twitch Prime or Prime Gaming subs, as they call them now. And that way you can help support us, which we are saving up funds, which we would have spent last week or so at PAX, but we will be we'll be saving those up and doing an extra big thing probably this coming year at PAX or something similar, depending on what PAX does.
Did I tell you I took a loan from Infection Podcast, Brian?
Oh, did you? I didn't notice this.
Yeah. I spent all of our money on a party.
A party. Yeah, great.
I bought $1,000 worth of bullhorns.
Nice.
Well, they'll be here next week. So yeah,
you could just have a wall of bullhorns.
Yeah. So thanks to the donors.
You could figure out how to wire them all up together.
I could figure. I just got a brand new.
Well, you need to make it to where there's one mic that all feed into all the bullhorns.
Well, I've got an Astron A20 power supply, which is a 20 amp, 13.5 volt power supply. It's huge. It's got a bunch of transistors, big old heat sink on the back. It's got a big coil transformer.
You could put a ton of little 12 volts outs on that.
Oh, dude. It's got taps.
And run into every single one of those things.
It's got taps. That's how you connect. It is a screw terminal tap. That is how you hook yourself up to this power supply. So yeah, I could do that. Now, of course, I'm joking. I did not spend all of the.
Now, are you using that for like broadcasting, like ham radio stuff?
Right now, it's sitting on my floor. Eventually, I will be using it for that. Brian, let me tell you what I'm planning on here. Since we have so much news to talk about, this is definitely what we should spend at least half the show on. So this back wall behind me, Let me see. Let me put my camera shot live here. So you can't see it, but there's a little desk over on this corner with it's got a 27-inch iMac, my ham radio stuff. I'm gonna put a counter across the entire back wall here. Probably about a standing height counter.
Make it like a workbench area.
Yeah, I'm gonna make it a workbench. So the left or right half will be my ham radio stuff. The other side will be soldering irons and place where I can work on different things and whatnot. So that's what I'm planning on. So yes, we'll have plenty of room for the bullhorn.
Well, good
horns.
Well, I've got my use out of it. I walk around randomly yelling at people with it. And it's fun.
There's a protest this Saturday I might be attending with my bullhorn. I'm not quite sure if no, maybe it's Sunday. I have to look. I might go. Well, time will tell. We'll talk about it in the post show. All right. So lots of gaming news. Brian, I'll tell you this. GameStop stock hit a 52-week high today. I got an alert from my app Robinhood. GameStop stock was trading at, I want to make sure I get this correct, $11.16, which is the 52-week high on GameStop. I'm getting very close to jumping out. I bought it less than $3.50 a share, and I've made a couple $1,000s on my investment on GameStop. So I think I'm going to wait till the consoles. I think I'm going to wait till Christmas and see what happens and then jump out. So, again, not stock market advice, but if you listen to old Nick back a little while ago, you would be, and you decided to throw away a couple $100s at the time, you could have a couple thousand right now. So again,
we'll call you Captain Hindsight. How about that?
South Park. I'm not Captain Hindsight. I bought the stock. That's not Captain Hindsight.
I know, but now you're saying, well, if you would have followed me,
hindsight is people that are like, oh, I should have bought Bitcoin back about 2011. No, that's Captain Hindsight. I literally have the stock. So, I'm not bragging. Just saying, GameStop, until after the console sales, it is going to probably plummet to negative dollars. So I'll have to pay me. I'll have to pay them to get my shares back, or however it would go. Because once the consoles
it's like people that voted on the election, and then not voted, they they did some sort of a bet on the election, and then as various things happen, like the bettor's like, well, you could, redeem your bet right now for like $50 or
cash out. Yep, take your $200 bet. We'll give you $50 for it. Yeah. Well, nevertheless,
so maybe they'll do that too. You never know.
No, that would be a dividend, and they're not. I don't believe GameStop will do a stock split. But okay, nevertheless, the reason I brought up GameStop was because we've got a lot of console news. We are at this point, pre-orders for both systems now have been no, maybe not. Xbox I know was today. I thought PlayStation already did their pre-order. Maybe they didn't. Xbox's was today. Disaster. Couldn't get it anywhere. I almost got one. I wasn't even going to buy one until I was on Twitter and somebody was like, Sam's Club's got them, and I went there and it let me add it to my cart, and I was all jacked up, and I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna buy this. And then I went to buy it, and it was sold out. So thank God, because I would have bought a stupid $550 Xbox. Yeah, because I was like, oh my god,
wouldn't get for a couple months.
Also, that I could just post in Discord that I had one. I mean, you talk about mental illness. I
know you don't want to rub it into somebody's face.
Yeah, I'm a jerk. But let's talk about the PlayStation 5 first. They announced their release date and prices. So this console is going to be out November 12th, which is 50 probably 2 days away or something like that, if I had to guess, until then. So you're talking about less than 2 months until this system is out. And there's going to be two versions of the system that we've already talked about in the past. The physical version, which is going to run you $499.99, and then a digital-only version, which does not come with a Blu-ray drive, no disc drive, no physical media, except for USB media, but no discs, and that will be $399.99. And pre-orders did happen last September 17th, which was a couple days ago, and they're out, so you can't get those anywhere. But I think I asked you this originally, Brian, but now that you've seen the prices, at least okay, let's not do that first. Okay, we've got that. Let's do Xbox real quick. Okay. So that pre-orders went live on that today. The Xbox One X, the big cube-looking one that it is. Yeah, that's also $499.99. That's going to be out on November 10th. So, as we sit here, You have $570 or so in your pocket after taxes, and in a game, you're probably $600, maybe $650 in your pocket, Brian. What are you springing for? Are you going physical? You going digital? Or are you going Xbox or PlayStation? You have to pick one.
Probably initially I'll just do the digital PlayStation.
Why PlayStation?
Wait. Because that's what most of my games are on. The only things that I really have on the Xbox is all from the Game Pass stuff. Okay. Which I guess, I don't think they're going to be having maybe they will. It depends on how many like PlayStation 5 or Xbox titles they would have out the gate that really I would notice a difference between my old Xbox and this new Xbox on. Yeah. I just don't think it would be a ton yet. So I'd rather almost go with the cheaper one that has most of my games on it, replace one of my PlayStations with that, and then wait till games start coming out and then kind of decide, okay, I don't want to grab an Xbox now because eventually I'm going to get both of them. So I know that.
Now, are you going to go digital? Because now Xbox has got their
I don't use discs.
Yeah, I know you don't.
I don't like them because they get damaged and stuff like that. And my pigs, they like the shininess of them if they ever get set in a place they can reach them. So I don't have any discs for them anymore.
Okay. So then
personally, I'd rather not. I know that someday that may bite me because I may go to buy something like, oh, I didn't realize, I thought it was a code or something. But as long as it's always a number.
So Xbox is undercutting PlayStation by $100 on their digital-only edition of the console. Now, there's a little bit of, I'm not going to say tomfoolery going on here, but they've got their Xbox Series S. They have, by the way, Microsoft, you have beyond screwed up the naming for these consoles. I saw a post on Twitter today. The Xbox One S or X, whatever it is, jumped up by like 700% on Amazon because people thought, I can only presume people thought that they were buying the new Xbox because the names are so freaking similar. You've got the Xbox One S and then the Xbox Series S, which is the next generation. It is what the hell is Microsoft thinking with this? It's so complicated. Yeah. People don't even know what the hell they're buying because it all looks the same. They all are these weird
they got the
looking...
Xbox Series X, Xbox Series S, and what is the S?
The Xbox One X and S are the current model generations that are out. It's just confusing.
That's really weird.
Yeah, it is. It's stupid. And of course, people your grandparents are thinking they're buying their kids a brand new Xbox, and come Christmas Day, they're going to unwrap a console from 2013 because the names are so similar. But so they've undercut Sony $100 on their digital
like S
only
is supposed
version.
To be like slim in a way.
It's a smaller. It's a smaller version. It doesn't have a disk drive, and I don't believe it's got the same performance. That's the big difference between the two versions of the PlayStation 5. They are equivalent consoles, one without the Blu-ray optical drive. The Xbox S versus X is a performance thing as well. It's a smaller system. Now they say it's got next gen performance, but it is not. From what I understand, and I don't know this to be true, but from what I've read and understood, it is not the same console as the top of the line. It is a.
I have some numbers for that if you want to hear those.
Okay, yes, please. I'd love to.
All right, so the Xbox Series X and Series S, they're powered by a Zen 2 8-core processor, but the X CPU runs at 3.8 gigahertz per core, 3.6 with multi-threading, and the S runs at 3.6 with 3.4 multi-threading. So the CPUs processes are running differently. And then
which has got to be a power issue, right? Or a heat issue, because they're the same identical process.
That's probably why, because of the smaller and less airflow and whatever else, they're not able to push as much on that. And then the graphics is the biggest. Sounds like it's probably the biggest difference. Okay. The Series X is able to process at 12 teraflops, and this S runs at 4 teraflops. So I mean that's a quarter of the graphical capabilities on the S compared to the X. The The one runs 16 gigabytes of RAM, the other runs 10. Ray tracing is supported by both, but the X will be able to run games in full 4K. The S is locked at 440 or 1440. I mean, both run 60 frames natively, although are capable of up to 120. So, storage wise, the X comes with a 1 terabyte SSD. But I don't see. Oh, the S has a half a gigabyte SSD. So, and then they do have USB 3. You could put in expansion cards. I think other than that, they're going to probably be pretty similar.
So, obviously, it's a performance hit. It is also $200 cheaper than the X, the flagship. This is an interesting move by Microsoft, because they could have done exactly what Sony did, right? Made two cube consoles, one with one without a disk drive. But they've come in here now and they are playing the penny pinching game, which in our current economic status might end up playing out for them in the long run. But I look at myself.
You have a lot of pissed off kids that are getting the S, on Christmas.
They might and might not.
They'll be happy they got it, but they'll be like, "Oh, I wanted the X," because there is such a big difference. I think a much bigger difference than we've seen on consoles for a while between the two. I know that, they have the ones that'll run 4K, but that's very recent that's been an issue.
So I wonder I think of somebody like myself, Brian, who doesn't really play these really at all.
Anymore, yeah.
No, I don't. And the reason is because it's at this point, it's a 7-year-old console, and none of the games I want to play are, I played, the last console game I really played was Red Dead, and that was 2 years ago at this point. That's the last time I actively played a console. For me, the S is rather intriguing. It's not going to break the bank. I will still have a next-gen console, which means I get access to, of course, the next-gen games, but I don't have to spend... with tax, this console with tax is going to run you close to $570. The top of the line one, both, they're going to run you close to $570 without a game.
Yeah.
Plus, if you have to get a game, and plus, like myself, I'm going to have to buy Xbox Live. So you're talking about a 7 event, if 2 games and Xbox Live, you're looking at a $700+ thing. You can buy, in this case, you can buy brand new 3080 for $700. So, you're looking at a significant investment for something that myself, and I'm not going to speak for you, but I think I'm in the similar shoes that a lot of other people are. Majority do a lot of my things on PC, like the ability to have the console, like the ability to play next generation. I think that this Series S plays into both of those people. Of course, not everybody's got $700 sitting around to buy a new console for their kid, especially since the whole world's been shut down since March. But also, you've got people that every once in a while you want to play. And for me, I have a 4K TV, but I have a 1080p HDMI switch. And frankly, I don't really care. I've never been somebody that's freaked out about resolutions or anything of that nature. So I'm not sure that the 4K really matters to me. I can play 1440p, 144 hertz on my computer monitor. If I'm going for quality and, amazingness and whatnot, I don't think I'm going to get that on my console anyway. So for me, the $299 price point is very intriguing. Very, very intriguing.
See, but my main thing would be, if I'm going to hook this up, I'd want it to run on my 4K screen. And so that's where I'd rather wait on the Xbox. If there's this big of a hardware difference, start out with the cheaper Sony, because it doesn't seem to actually be a major mechanical difference between the Sonys. Yeah. And then, so pick that one up initially in the digital version. And then later, once games start coming out for the Xbox that are next gen, to where they're, and even Xbox X enhanced, as they're going to say, where they have all these extra features for the better Xbox, then be like, all right, I'll buy this. Maybe when I'm ready to play Cyberpunk on it, or Grand Theft Auto 6, or the new Elder Scrolls, whatever games are coming out that are really using these graphics and actually will be noticeably different. And I like, look at this ray tracing. that's something where then I'll pitch out the money to do it. But I think initially, for the first month or two, you're not going to really see all these games being that drastically different than the old ones till they start rolling out the enhanced versions. So we'll see, with ray tracing and all the extra features that people are looking forward to seeing.
Yeah. So I think, I think this is going to play out really well for Microsoft. I think you have a lot of people, and I don't intend on buying the pre-order is already gone for both. And November 10th, I don't see myself getting either of these prior to, I want to say prior to Christmas, but then I don't know what Black Friday is going to bring. Obviously there won't be big sales on the consoles, but there could be a bundle that includes something that might be intriguing. So
I was hoping for didn't we talk about the Cyberpunk? They're not doing the normal bundle on this. Remember there was news on it.
They did a bundle for the Xbox One.
For the old one.
Yeah.
But that's where, if I were going to do this, because I did this to get the PS4 Pro, I did that with the Red Dead. I'd prefer to get it, if I'm going to do it, get the bundle, with Cyberpunk or something and get the Xbox on that. So I get ray tracing on Cyberpunk. Yeah.
So this is what I'm thinking, Brian. Unless there's a crazy good deal on Black Friday or that around Thanksgiving, I probably won't pick this thing up till after the first of the year, if I pick one up at all. I'm leaning right now.
You'll pick up something.
Yeah, I'm leaning right now towards the Xbox. I always have. I've always been a really big fan of Xbox since the Xbox 360 arcade that I got when I was, I don't know how old I was when I got that. But unless there's a crazy Black Friday deal, I don't see myself jumping on either of these before Christmas.
Don't you see
Honest
this
to God,
really...
Brian, 2 years is the last time I actually played a console for a longer period of time than just turned it on, played something for a night or for 2 hours and called it a day. And I just set all my consoles up here. I have done nothing but turned on Mario Kart and showed a friend that it worked.
Yeah.
That's the extent of the consoles that I've played here.
Don't you see this kind of as being affected by the fact that all these games that used to be console exclusives, it seems like all these companies are starting to put them out on all platforms now. I mean, it used to be you had to play something on a console. And it's like, I haven't had to touch my console for a week or two just because these other games are on computer as well.
Let me tell you what's making a huge difference in that. I'm glad you brought that up because I didn't even make the connection. The fact that I'm going to buy the next Call of Duty on PC. If I was waiting for the next COD on console,
then you would be getting the console for sure.
If my ass would be standing out in a Best Buy parking lot or a GameStop parking lot, 6 feet in front of a bunch of other stupid jackasses like me trying to get this damn thing. But because I'm getting the next COD on PC, because the last COD on PC was utterly amazing, I don't have a reason to buy a console anymore. I've said this 1,000 times. Call of Duty was the reason I played Xbox. It's why I got an Xbox One, and now Cyberpunk's going to be on PC. We'll talk about minimum specs coming up here in a little bit. I think it's a little bit better than a lot of people were expecting. I don't have a single game right now that I would say, oh, I need to run out to the store and spend $700 on console game, Xbox Live, or PlayStation Now, which are both lapsed for me. I don't have anything there's not a single game that fits that criteria. That Ratchet and Clank game looks cool. I'm not going to spend $650 to play it though. I can tell you that.
Just to be able to play it.
Yeah. I'll wait till the things go on sale in March, April, May of next year or something like that, and see if you pick it up on a sale or pick it up secondhand. Who knows?
So
maybe it's an age
talk
thing.
Really quick.
I'm not sure.
It is, believe me.
Okay.
You just get to where you're like, all right. I there's sometimes I'll go and I'll want to play for a certain game for a while, but then as you get busy, work, life, everything else, you're just like, man, I just don't have time. And even when you get ready, you get home, it's like, I'm just gonna go to bed.
Now
you don't feel like playing until 3 a.m.
My situation is very chaotic right now. For people that follow me and know me personally, I'm doing a lot of political work. And when I say a lot of political work, I mean 24/7, 365. That all is going to
come
end.
December, that may change. You may find that, okay, December, it's like, oh, dude, I want to play some games.
Come November 4th, none of these political things are going to be relevant anymore. So it's, I have a feeling right now you're right, Brian. There are some days outside of Tuesdays that I get home at 9 or 10 o'clock. I leave for work at 7:30, and it is in the door, lock the door, change, take a shower, go to bed. And that's a couple nights a week, and that will likely change. So I think that's why I haven't been playing games in general either. So this is going to be a very interesting. This is the first time I've never been really excited for a console, and it kind of bums me out a little bit. But I think it's an age thing. I just don't really care.
Yeah. Well, you got a lot of other things you're focusing on. So
yeah.
Hey, let's talk really quickly about some Microsoft news that I wasn't expecting. Now, we did have a hint a week or two ago when we heard Bungie say, "Hey, Microsoft, we are not in talks with Microsoft about buying us." And that was Bungie.
Yes.
Well, the name was a little bit wrong. Whoever gave the tip may have said it's a company that starts with a B, because Bethesda has been purchased by Microsoft. Now,
not Bethesda, but it's ZeniMax.
Well, it's parent company ZeniMax, which includes Bethesda.
Mm-hmm.
So they have ZeniMax, which has some other companies with it. But this includes, so I mean, for thinking of games and franchises that are included in this, you got Elder Scrolls, you got Fallout, Starfield one is one people are looking forward to. The Doom things, which includes Wolfenstein, Quake, Prey, Rage, and then what people were kind of wondering about, what about these games, any Bethesda games on PlayStation consoles?
Interesting.
They have made a statement about this, and what they're looking at doing is they said future games will be on Xbox, on PC, and Game Pass. Other consoles considered on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, of course.
So they're going to be releasing mainly, but they did say that all Bethesda titles, all new titles that they release, will be on their Game Pass. So when the new Elder Scrolls comes out, that will be there. Any new Dooms, all this. So this is going to be. It seems like they're really focusing on just beefing up their Game Pass library. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be that surprised if they considered buying other companies like this. If they have the funds, if they're doing very well financially, buying these so that they now have exclusive rights. People got so mad at Epic for it, but here it's happening again, to where Microsoft now has this, and it's being tied to a piece of hardware, not just a launcher, but it's you can get it on PC, but they're really locking this down to stuff on the Game Pass, whatever the Game Pass can serve, which is the Xbox console and the PC. So I'm sure that there's some titles that are so big that they realize, on maybe a Doom releases, hey, we'll make a lot of money by putting it on PS4 as well. But, they don't feel obligated. And if they feel like this is what's going to make them win the console war, which people, I think, kind of gave up on the idea of one person winning the console war, that this may be the kind of thing that makes that happen, to where it's not so much the console. People subscribe to the Game Pass, and you get a huge amount of the games that are out there today.
Pro tip, don't die.
Is a possibility.
Pro tip, don't die says Microsoft just guaranteed I'm never canceling Game Pass for PC. I don't think people are really factoring in how huge of a deal this is, Brian. There are very few companies like ZeniMax that exist. There are very few studios of this size, and this was not a small acquisition. Microsoft spent $7.5 billion in cash. This was not half equity. This was cold, hard cash for the sale of this company. Microsoft is, and Brian, you have been saying this for years, and it's fine. I think you're finally starting to see it now. Hardware is out. Games and licensing is what is going to flow. Microsoft and Sony and Nintendo's in a different ballpark, but Microsoft and Sony going forward. The fact that PC is changing as rapidly as it is, Microsoft is not and Sony is not going to be able to wait 7 years between the next generation consoles like they did this time. It's just not going to fly. 2013 to 2020 is one thing. 2020 to 2027. Brian and I will be doing. It'll be the Jetsons in 2027. the money is going to be in the games. It's going to be owning the IPs. And this might be the biggest gaming story of the year. This is huge. This is game changing for Microsoft and Xbox. And this really, if in fact, I don't think they'll do this. If in fact, Xbox and Microsoft decide that they will not put games like Elder Scrolls 6 or whatever it's going to be called, or the next Doom or the next Fallout on PlayStation, which I don't think they won't. They will put those games on there. If they decided not to, wow. You talk about an atomic bomb being dropped in the video game market. Bethesda makes some of the most popular, well-played, highest grossing franchises ever in Fallout, Doom, Elder Scrolls, Skyrim, all of it. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. It's crazy.
Yeah. And now they did mention, so for instance, they were talking about that Starfield game, which is going to be a space game that's highly anticipated, that hasn't come out yet. They said that will launch on Xbox, PC, and Game Pass. So they're one of their biggest titles that's coming out next. It is not going out on PS4 at this time, or PS5.
Well, so if I had to guess what's going on here is that these contracts were already in negotiation with the sale of the company, and that those deals will probably have to be renegotiated. That would be my guess. It would be, you talk about really shafting Sony. This is next level shaftery, Brian. I mean, this is like, this is the biggest middle finger.
Last season, they lost the last console war in my mind.
They did, but losing the console war and then buying Bethesda is the biggest FU that you can give.
I think Microsoft is in a better spot. They have,
with this deal, they are.
Because they have the PC market. They have a store on PC. They have all these things. You know, PlayStation can't integrate something into the Microsoft operating system to allow for Game Pass, their version of the Game Pass, to work perfectly and seamlessly on a new computer. Like, Microsoft just has the ability to have their hands easily in both markets without any extra work and without really convincing that many people that they need to try to do it. I think you're going to have a much harder time converting PlayStation people to try to do things with PC or make the experience seem more seamless between PC and console, because they view it so differently. That with the Game Pass and giving titles on the single paid Game Pass for both PC and Xbox, I think is a smart idea, because you'll get people that will buy it for their Xbox and be like, oh, but I can play this game that isn't available on the Xbox. I can go play that on PC. It's, doesn't cost me any more money. And you get people starting to do both. And so I think they're set up very well to do this. Would be interesting to see is if we see a response from Sony purchasing a major company.
Who's left?
I don't know.
Ubisoft already
owned. They're already owned by Tencent. Tencent's not going to, the China
Activision Blizzard
is not going to. They're not going to sell back to another company. They're going to sell to Sony.
But I'll tell you what, Ubisoft doesn't have it. I mean, they do. Don't get me wrong. They've got a lot of popular games. Hey, thank you, Izzy Trippin, for hitting us up with the 8-month resubscription here on Twitch. It is greatly appreciated. Thank you. Okay, the other company that is much bigger but comes to mind is, of course, Activision Blizzard, which is not for sale. That is a publicly traded company. Yeah. Sony does not have I don't believe Sony's got the equity to buy them. I don't think they're not for sale. Yeah, they're a publicly traded company. They're not doing that. I don't think. I've been wrong.
But they have that EA Play built in to Microsoft. So
that's what I'm saying. Who's left?
Game Pass, they've got EA Play. They got Bethesda. What other major studio? Titles other than Rockstar? I mean, they already have.
They could buy
Red
Rockstar.
Dead Redemption 2, but they already have Red Dead Redemption 2 on the Game Pass. I mean, they've got their games on there.
But future things, I would agree. Rockstar would be
exclusive.
Huge.
Imagine if they could get exclusive Rockstar. That would end the console wars. I mean, as far as the wars,
I'm saying Sony. That's what I'm saying. Sony's got to make a play.
Whoever gets, but imagine if Microsoft got them, there would be nothing left of the major studios for Sony.
But that's my point, is now Sony has got to do, and now again, this is all under the prerequisite that Microsoft is not going to allow Bethesda games on PlayStation.
But they get to pick and choose now. With there's
I don't
something,
think
if there's
they will.
something so highly hyped.
I know.
They could.
I know. I would like to believe that from a business perspective, they will choose not to because of the mark. Again, they own it. They could do whatever the hell they want. I don't think they will. I've been wrong a million times. I'll continue to be wrong.
Yep.
Outside of Activision Blizzard and EA and Ubisoft and Rockstar, I can't think of any other companies that Sony could make a play for. And in my opinion, Ubisoft and EA are not real. I mean, yes, the sports games are big. That could be a big move for them. But they don't make the caliber of games.
But what
like
about
Bethesda,
okay? But what about with the crackdowns coming on a possible crackdown coming on loot boxes? That could really affect the bottom line of those sports games because that's primarily how those things are funded at this amount of time.
That's how they're funded now. I really don't.
I don't think they're going to be a very successful game without the loot boxes. I mean, as far as financially a successful game,
this deal is massive. I can't describe how huge Microsoft just dropped an atomic bomb on the console war. Even if their console comes out and it's a piece of shit, it's not going to matter if they have the exclusivity for Elder Scrolls, Skyrim. I know Fallout 76 sucks, but the next Fallout, I mean, the Doom games, which are the two most recent Dooms, which I own the most recent one. I haven't had a chance to play it. Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal are apparently some of the best games that have come out of id in a very long period of time. This is huge. Pro Tip Don't Die says Sony could go after 2K and Gearsoft. They could, but they're not anywhere near as big as Bethesda. And then you would essentially have, at that point, Sony buying a bunch of smaller companies like 2K and Gearsoft and maybe somebody like Ubisoft and honing that all in. But then you'd be talking about you thought exclusives were bad back in the Xbox 360 PS3 days. I mean, now you were going to have to own two systems. Both because most games won't come out on the other system. So
I mean, because they would get BioShock, Borderlands, which
those are huge games. Okay, I forgot about those on
Civilization
Gearbox.
series.
Yeah, I forgot about that. That's big. Gearbox is big.
So and then all those sports games.
Yeah.
You also have the Mafia series, but I think those, I don't know that they're really, they've already released those on both. I don't know. I mean, that would be big, but still, I think a lot of those ones rely, especially the sports games, they rely so much on their form of bringing in money on those is related to those loot boxes so heavily. I would just view that as kind of a risky investment. That with Bethesda, like that's not a risky investment. Those companies make money purely off the sales of their game enough to support them.
Yeah, Rockstar would be it, in my opinion.
Yeah, if they could, I would be nervous about them getting Rockstar just because Rockstar up to this point has not been over for all of the SJW, stuff that's been happening. And they say, hey, we're going to make the game how we want to make it. And they are able to be edgy and they're not constantly apologizing for jokes because they realize they're jokes.
We'll see what Grand Theft Auto
6. It may need maybe a whole new series. Now, one thing that was interesting is, for instance, the actor, there was that guy who did all the voices, who was the nerd. He left. He's no longer with Rockstar. What was his name? I'm trying to remember. Laszlo.
Okay.
That's kind of a weird, he's been with them a long time. So it makes you wonder, is that a hint that there's something in the background going on at Rockstar that he would leave? Because why would you leave when you're making money just doing voices and, working on a very successful project?
Well, I mean, of course, there's always contracts and contract negotiations. So you're not, who knows what all those.
Well, he's going to work with smaller companies now. And it's just kind of strange.
It is definitely strange. I'll agree with you on that. Thank you, Joshua NZ. Of course, we've talked. I don't know. You interviewed. Didn't you interview Josh way back? He's and of course we've talked about his game Zera plenty of times here on the program, and got some cool stuff from them coming up. Hopefully soon. So thank you. We greatly appreciate it. But Well,
I have to remember if I did an interview. I speak to him I've spoken to him off the air about it, and
I think you did a pre-recorded interview and then we aired it. This was back, God, probably 2+ years ago at this point.
Yep.
So interview soon.
Yeah, we'll work it out.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm ready.
I'm ready too. Don't run away from us like other developers have. It's not us. It's
don't pull
them.
an H1Z1 on us. Don't pull an H1Z1 on us, and you'll be fine.
or miscreated.
Miscreated, yeah. He still is mad at me. Maybe we'll get over it someday.
It's never us though. It's always the other developers, right? We're not the problem. That's Microsoft really, as I honestly thought, Brian, that the console wars were kind of dead, and Microsoft just came in and just with a shotgun and just blowing holes in the wall. They don't care. Yep. So $7.5 billion in cash to purchase essentially Bethesda. Huge acquisition for Microsoft, and obviously making a big play into what the console market, we'll put air quotes around the console market, is going to look like over the next 10 or 15 years. So huge news out of Microsoft and Sony. It's fine. I'm glad the gaming news is finally heating up. We went in such a lull from March to just a couple months ago, and now we've got 2 new consoles coming out, huge acquisitions going on. We've got Cyberpunk coming out. It's just all this stuff is all kind of coming out. New Call of Duty will be out. Beta test started alpha test started this weekend on PlayStation. Just so much stuff going on, which is very cool.
Now there was some news this past week, supposedly about a data breach with Activision, saying that about 500,000 Call of Duty accounts were breached. Activision is saying that this didn't happen.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, a number of people are claiming on Twitch or Twitter, which you can take that for what it is, saying that they've seen proof. These accounts are getting leaked out. If they do not, Activision does not have 2-factor authentication. But what you may want to do just to be safe, because we have seen denials before, and then when they're ready to make it public, all of a sudden, oh wait, yeah, here, this was real. You might want to go change your account password. If you do, just go to their website, change your account password, and then see if see if it's an issue. According to them, the hackers are reportedly generating 1,000 accounts every 10 minutes. So
who's claiming this?
Somebody on Twitter, some people on Twitter are talking about this. So I don't know. I don't know if we'll find out. I mean, right now it's one group saying, hey, they are breached. And of course, Activision saying, hey, that's not happened, but they may not realize it yet. That would be an interesting little tidbit.
Yeah, very true. I hope it is. If somebody claims that you've been compromised and then you come out and say, no, that is not true, and then in 3 weeks, they've got to be like, actually, we were compromised. It's not going to look good at all. So I hope for their sake, this is not true.
That it's false.
They're going to look really, really stupid if they have to come back and go, well, actually, random bots on Twitter were right. We actually were compromised. Never a good look.
So speaking of bots, let's talk a little bit about Nvidia, because this is something that they have they have new video cards coming out, and the problem is bots are buying up all the cards as soon as they're listed on these markets.
Always.
So consumers aren't able to get them. Bots see that they're listed before people can, and they're buying dozens of cards at a time. And so this is an issue. And so Nvidia has said in these various marketplaces, has said they're working as hard as they can to try to prevent the automated bots from buying these. And I'm assuming that they'll have to probably implement some sort of extra 2-factor authentication or something, or something to come up with, not a 2-factor, but a one of the click on the buses, click on the mountains, things like that. The
service that's responsible for this is Bounce Alerts. It is a service that it's expensive. It's like $100 a month, but it's a service that allows you to purchase limited quantity items. Obviously, video game consoles come to mind. Games, sneakers, which is a huge thing that I don't think people follow. That's anything that comes out in limited quality. This is
Or
what
quantity, yeah.
limited quantity. This is what this service is for. And of course, people are like, "Oh, this is awful and it's terrible." It is. I agree. But you know what, Brian? This is what makes at least the United States such a great place. I'm actually, here's a hot take for you. I actually don't mind scalpers and scalping. I'll never pay the price because I'm never going to spend $3,000 on an $800 product. I don't want it that bad. I don't care that much. Do I think it's scummy? Yes. Do I think it should be illegal? No. Do I think that these people
not illegal? I think it's
No.
up to the. I think it's up to the selling marketplaces or the people distributing these. If you really want it to be to where the average consumer can get these, then put in the steps to make it to where it's difficult for these services to mass buy these. Put limited buy quantities, come up with ways they have to verify their accounts, whatever it is. If you're wanting normal everyday people to buy these, then make that happen. And these people are just taking advantage of the way this market works, and then they're doing it. I don't think there should be any intervention put in by any government or third party entity. But of course, the marketplace is selling this if they want to improve their service. And that's why we have things improve in the United States, is because things like this come up and we say, all right, well, we want to do better by the consumer, and they make enhancements to their systems. That's why we have some of the best systems in the world here.
Well,
is because of capitalism, and the people have to adjust if they want things to work a certain way. It's not all set by the government.
Yeah. Now, you would probably know this a lot better than I would, Brian. I've heard the tales of Ticketmaster in the late 90s, early 2000s. And this is exactly the problem that Ticketmaster had, where scalpers would buy hundreds or depending on the event, thousands of tickets and then flip them on StubHub or back on Ticketmaster for 2, 3, 4x the price. And Ticketmaster have found a solution for that. They've got this, this. If you've bought anything on Ticketmaster, it's like getting in it's easy. It is easier for me to open a credit card in your name, Brian, than it is for me to buy something from Ticketmaster. It's such a process, but that's the process that it takes so that bounce alerts or whatever, and they're not doing anything crazy. I mean, there's a screenshot here of the script of what this bounce alert does. It looks at a bunch of URLs and it's able to authenticate through the checkout process using whatever sort of API that these websites have available for checkout. That's how they're doing it. It's not secret. They're not hacking. I know it's a CMD, it's a terminal prompt, but they're not doing anything crazy shady. These sites, it is running a scan on checkout pages and product pages and trying to mass add them to carts and buy them. Yep. And you can see here it's successfully buying things.
Yep. And one thing you could do is, for instance, Amazon, if they really wanted to make this to where everybody could get one, limit one per Twitch Prime. If you have or not Twitch Prime, Amazon Prime, if you have an Amazon Prime account, you have the ability, have a special item that requires Prime to be able to purchase, because you're pretty much verifying a person at that point, right? Yeah. It's not a mass made account. And then say one per person. That would get, if they really wanted to produce these and get them out on Amazon and be able to limit them, that would be one way to do it. But that's the kind of solutions that it would take. This thing is scanning hundreds of websites that are possibly selling this, and it's looking at how are you going to control it? There's no regulation or rules that you can put in on hundreds of websites that are private businesses running websites selling a product to be able to fix this. It's not really a problem. They're just checking every single marketplace that they think is going to have it, trying to check out, and if they can, they do.
Yeah, and what it really is more than
one of those to limit it.
And what it is more than anything else, Brian, is that the second something pops in the cart, this thing, you preload your credit card information, your shipping, your billing, and it's instantly submitted into the form. It's really a speed thing. They're not doing anything shady.
It's pretty much an autofill.
It is.
And then trying to bypass whatever kind of capture they're having.
So do I think the people that use this are scumbags that turn around and put them on eBay for $3,000 or $4,000? Yes, I think they are. But should they be unallowed to do this? Should it be illegal to do this? No. Not at all.
Yeah, I'd rather not have any more regulation on it.
Yeah. And these
will, and if they figure out, if they keep pumping out these cards and making them more and more common, all those people that pre-purchase them, they're going to have less and less value because people won't have to go and pay any higher priced version of this.
Yeah, I mean, apparently some guy bought 42 cards using Bounce Alert, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Now the question is, will it be able to sell?
That's quite a bit of money. That's
it is. That's
$700 per card.
It's $750 or $900 a card. I don't know what the MSRP depending on.
No, which one? It depends on which he's looking at. There's ones that are
the $1,500 one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
really, I mean, there's ones that they're selling on on eBay. You're starting to see them listed for about $2,000 now.
Yeah. So pretty frustrating. Obviously, I intend on my next big purchase, Brian, before a console is going to be one of these cards if I can get a hand on it. Either a 3080 or a 3070. Is going to be my next big purchase. So, bots buying things online is not anything new. We see it pop up every time a new limited quantity product is released. This is no different than any of those other times, but obviously taking a little bit more of a front row now because people are freaking out over these cards.
Now, Nvidia did do kind of a question and answer response to some of these things.
Okay.
And here's some things that they said about the situation as it's going. They said the demand is unprecedented, and it says they and their partners underestimated it. Over 50 major global retailers had inventory on the day of launch. Our retail partners reported record traffic to their sites, in many cases exceeding Black Friday. This caused crashes, delays, and other issues for the customers. We knew the GeForce 380, RTX 380 would be popular, but none of us expected that much traffic on the first day. And then same thing, what's the situation on the stock for this? It says they're currently in full production. We began shipping GPUs to our partners in August and have been increasing the supply weekly. Partners are also ramping up capacity to meet the unprecedented demand. We understand that many gamers are unable to buy their cards right now. We're doing everything we can to catch up quickly. Keep checking with your favorite retailer to be notified of availability. I think they're hinting at don't go to eBay there. You may use, they have a product finder on their website to help find retailers that have it.
Yeah, check out the product finder on our website that nobody else is using. That's a great approach to getting a card.
Yeah. They said, why does availability start with such low inventory? Someone asked them this. Why not wait until more cards are produced? They said, we have great supply, just not for this level of demand. It is typical for initial demand to exceed supply of our new GPUs. Our global network of partners are ramping up as hard as they can to be able to match this. They said, what are your changes moving forward? They said increased capacity and more bot protection is one of the main things that they'll be looking at. That's pretty much from there. But so they understand. They released quite a few, and now they're still producing a full amount of cards. It's not like there's a shortage. It's just one interesting thing is if these guys are able to really push out cards and keep up and make it to where this is filled somewhat quickly, that'll kind of kill a lot of that eBay. This could financially not hurt, but make it to where they don't come out as far ahead from all those bots if they can get enough of these produced to where the demand goes back to normal. And all these people have hundreds of cards sitting out there that they can't sell for that much more than retail. Maybe get some unsuspecting people on eBay buying it, but this may end up not being a good thing if they can actually catch up. Of course, if it takes them a long time to catch up, those guys come out ahead.
Yeah.
So I think that'd be the best thing they could do.
The one thing that if Brian, I put my tinfoil hat on here. I'll grab my megaphone here in a second. A lot of people are accusing Nvidia of allowing this to happen, which I personally don't think is true. Could they have done more to probably stop it? Yes, in hindsight, I really doubt.
But most of these things are individual retailers. They don't control the retailers. Like the CAPTCHA and all this process, they don't control. You'd have to force all of your retailers that sell your product to make major changes to prevent all this. And I just don't see them. That's just not something that would probably happen.
So something to keep your eye out on for. There's a lot of good Twitter accounts there's a lot of good Twitter accounts out there that will keep track of these things coming in inventory, and then you can go and click on the link. I know IGN Deals is one that I've followed in the past that is actually like, I almost bought an Xbox today because of it. But yeah, so there are accounts on Twitter that exist if you want to keep an eye. That's, when I bought my NES Classic, my SNES. Yes, the SNES Classic, that's what I had to do. I had a deal tracker set up, and anytime inventory came in stock, I'd get an email and a text message, and I'd try to go to the website, and I must have done this for weeks to try to get this thing. I bought it. I've never even turned it on. I don't even know if it works. It's still sitting in the box, but I had to have it.
No, you're glad you worked so hard for that.
Yeah, I'm mentally ill, but that's not here nor there. And
there's one more thing, Nvidia, here really quick.
Oh, yes, sir. What do you got?
Remember we had mentioned last week about how Nvidia purchased ARM. The UK government is being pressured to intervene into the sale. And so this is something, the company's co-founder, okay, so first of all, ARM Holdings, or actually, so the trade unions and the company's co-founder voiced concerns about the deal. And this is a U.S. software firm, Nvidia, but they're looking at buying the Cambridge-based ARM. So that's why they would have some say into this. This is something that I don't know if it's a tax thing, if they're concerned about American company purchasing such a large British company, but they seem to have issues with it. We'll see if anything comes of that. But I just wanted to mention it, that for some reason people are pressuring, the unions and everything are pressuring the UK government to try to prevent this from happening. So,
well, time will tell.
Yep, we'll see.
Time will tell.
So, all right. Do you have another? We've got a lot of other random topics here.
Yes, we do. And I want to come back to some of these more general gaming topics. Brian, do you have a game giveaway by any chance?
Yeah, I'll get it going here in just a second,
right.
and then we'll go.
Awesome. Well, while Brian's getting that squared away, we'll talk about a couple. We've got some more general gaming news that we'll get back to here in a little bit, but I do want to cover some survival games before too long. We've got an update here for DayZ. Now, we showed the trailer for it last week. This is that 1.09 trailer. The one with the soda can and the guy getting shot, and the really awful trailer, hopefully made in a kind of a mockumentary style, because that's how it came across. But it is now out. It's out as of yesterday morning, and it is available on all of the platforms. So we talked about the flag polls, all those things. We covered the patch notes last week, but the 1.09 update for DayZ is out. It is available, and you can now play it across all platforms. So pretty cool. New update out for DayZ. A couple new weapons as well.
Very good. All right, I'm still getting it up here, so let's take one more second.
No problem. Let's talk about Conan Exiles for a minute. They have put out a producer's letter for their expansion. This is a producer's letter, and it talks about some of the things since their new launch. They talk about why are they still in early access, and they say what is next here. The reason that this new DLC is still in early access is that they want to get feedback from their player base and make necessary changes. What this also means to me, and it's a really long article. I'd recommend you go and read it. The reason it's still probably in early access is because they plan on jacking up the price. They said that in the original press release, something that this is the early access price is $20. It's likely going to go to $30 or $40 on release, which is a huge reason that they do it. And of course, they mention feedback, want to make sure that it works. I get all that, and that's great. We've got
now Bishki from YouTube saying, "I've been playing the Isle of Sipta for a week, and it's been a lot of fun."
Yeah, and we'll look at the Steam reviews coming up here in a minute. But I guess we're getting some questions on why, because the game itself is not in early access. The game is out of early access, but this DLC is in early access. So I think that they were getting some questions on that. So they pretty much cover that. They talk about a couple of changes that they've made. Some big ones were in both the healing and the food system. They've got a couple things that they've changed in there, including the food weight. They've added some new healing items, but with the different roles. They've got potions, of course, that are in there, wraps, and different kinds of food that will affect different things different ways. So that's, I know it's all over the place. It's a producer's letter. I don't really want to read the entire thing. So, and we did cover the patch note that they put out for it last week. But, Brian, the reviews have changed dramatically. If you remember last week when we looked at this, and I'll have to go back and pull up an image, but I believe it was something like 64% of the reviews were positive. Now, it had been out a day at that point. And actually, I'm looking at the wrong thing, so that's going to be inaccurate information.
So currently, are you wanting?
Okay, no, I'm completely wrong. I was looking at the regular base game still, even though I clicked on the DLC. I'm wrong. The reviews have gotten worse since we talked about it last week. Last week, I believe it was at 64%. It is now at 52%, which essentially puts it at 50-50 for its reviews. It is mixed. Now, there are still only 486 reviews, so take that for what it's worth. But it is still, they still appear to be hurting a little bit here on the review side. Now, the base game overall has got mostly positive. 75% of the recent reviews and 76% of the overall reviews of almost 40,000 reviews are positive. So the game is still really solid. And Beast says here in the chat, been playing it, it's a lot of fun. It's to me, this DLC was for the hardcore Conan players. At the price,
okay, so
that's
here's someone says this is only something you should want if you're hard into PvP and want a Conan experience. They say devoid of fun, but just because someone else is into something different doesn't mean that it's not fun for them, right? The map itself isn't bad, but the mechanics of it are absolutely exhausting. If you're a person that plays a game after a long day of work and you just want to have some survival and building, this ain't it. Which that really just states that they've released a game different than their base game. It sounds like they've released something that's focused more on PvP and other elements. I've said for a long time, I feel like the base game of Conan is a lot for role players. Yes. I think that role players have really supported that. Perhaps they wanted to put out another game and see if they could capture another section of the audience that maybe originally bought Conan, realized that it wasn't quite the PvP hardcore game that they're expecting, maybe the more Rust style of player. And then they turn around and now here's a version that will take that other audience and maybe they'll have a fun time with this. I think, I don't like it when people say, hey, this is a horrible game because it doesn't fit exactly everything, my checklist of everything that I demand. That doesn't make it a horrible game. This may be made for a different type of player. And he kind of points at it there in his comment. He's the type of player that comes home after a long day's work and wants to build and just kind of do a relaxing survival game. Well, if you look, for instance, Rust isn't that type of a game. Rust isn't the you come home after a long day of work and relax, gathering and building. Usually there's a lot of PvP in there. So if that person went in and played some Rust, they'd probably say the exact same thing. This game is exhausting. This is not fun. They would get very frustrated with it. There's plenty of people who love Rust. And I think that if this, maybe it just needs to find the right audience. I think probably the reason that you would have so many people come and give it negative ratings is because they're all of those RP players that bought the expansion thinking it was going to be something enhancing that experience. And bam, all these people are running around and killing me. What's up with this? There's not this big community of people holding hands and saying, let's build something beautiful. It's people wanting to kill each other. And if there's plenty of people that have that type of game and are interested in that type of game. So I think it sounds like I'm not the arguments and the negative comments I have heard and read about this have not been on the actual game itself. It's mainly been people saying this isn't the type of game that I'm used to or that I want to play. Yeah. And then they've given a negative rating, which I really don't think they should do unless it's promised as something else. They didn't deliver on that promise, then give it a negative rating. But if it says this is a PvP game and, whatever aspects, don't complain then when you get it and it actually is those things.
Well, as always, it's the same with Amazon and any other site. The majority of your vocal people are negative because when things work and are good,
People are
you don't
silent.
bitch and complain. How many times, Brian, have you gone into some place, had excellent service, and just went your merry
Walked
way?
out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, when you go in somewhere and have bad service, I'm sure, well, I don't know about you, but I throw a temper tantrum until I get my way, because depending on what the thing is, service is service for a reason. And that's what I'm looking for. That's what's expected. That's what I'm going to get come hell or high water. And you know, that's so my point with this is, out of your 500 people that have left a review, tens of thousands of people, or there's hundreds of thousands of copies of Conan Exiles floating around out there, but you've got, you know, 500 people that have left a review of the new game, and essentially they've given it a 50-50 split on good or bad.
Probably the most reasonable critique I've heard about this so far is people saying that they're bare areas of the map. That would be probably the most legitimate argument, because the other aspects that people complain about, saying, oh, there's no thralls. Well, is the game mode meant to have thralls? You know, if it's a PvP game, you don't tend to have all these other aspects in there. So I think that mostly, you know, if people have complaints about the map, that's one thing. But other than that, I think it's just a different style of game. Maybe they should have done a little bit better job of marketing that and explaining it to people prior to purchase. To say, if it is a PvP version of Conan or a PvP focused version of Conan, say it more, you know, because you don't get that out of the name. But other than that, I just haven't heard the legitimate arguments that really convince me that there's something wrong with the game itself.
And then the final point that they make, the reason it's still in early access, is that it's not available on consoles yet. And of course, the big reason it's not available on consoles is, they say, because of the work from home thing. But even more important than that is that it's still buggy and not finished. And releasing the game on, releasing a small patch on console is a huge lift. Unlike it is on PC, where you can just go up, fixed, push it to the Steam CDN, and bam, you know, clients are downloading it. So that's also a big reason for that as well. So the Conan Exiles DLC is out. We talked about it extensively last week. If you want to hear that. By the way, we've got the new thing on YouTube, Brian. If you go to our YouTube video, now we've always had timestamps in the description, but now if you scrub through the scroll bar, you can actually see the individual segments, and it breaks them up into blocks, like a lot of other long form YouTube videos do. So if you want to catch a specific part of the show, it's even easier than before. You can just click on the little block and it'll bring you right to that time. So you can check that out on our program from last week.
All right, let's go and do the game giveaway here really quick. We're going to be giving away a copy of Vampire: The Masquerade Coteries of New York. So this is available on Steam for, I think it's $19.99 right now. Has a mostly positive overall and recent. It is single player. It's a indie vampire visual novel interactive fiction. So for people that are into that, hopefully, if that's your thing, you can enter for this ! Giveaway, and then we'll give away this before the end of the show here in about an hour.
All right. Let's talk about Last Oasis for a second here, Brian. They have been on a roll here. The last 3 or 4 weeks, we've had some sort of new thing. We've had 2 or 3 new walkers, and now we've got a new style of combat. Well, it's not a new style of combat, a new weapon to use in combat, and that is bombs. Now you think, oh, what, just one bomb? No, they've got a whole bunch of bombs here. So there's a short little video here of them showing off some of the things that you'll do with these bombs, and then we'll discuss right after that. So, par for the course from their other videos, very short to the point.
Always quick.
about 20 seconds of content in there, which is fine. It is what it is. I'll tell you what, I like these videos every week. These short little, these are good videos for Twitter and whatnot. I like that. It's good stuff. But there's 3 new kinds of bombs here, and one of them is really interesting, Brian. You've got, of course, your general cluster bomb that does damage. Then you've got the insect bomb, which I presume will have something to do with some sort of either
probably
bug
like a bunch
swarm
of bugs attacking or something,
or some sort of chemical But the third one is very interesting. The healing bomb, which is something that you don't typically see in a game like this. This is more of an MMO mechanic, a healer.
Yeah.
You don't typically see a healer,
pretty much it's kind of an AoE heal,
which is not common for a game like this. I'm obviously games have it. Rust, I don't believe, has an AoE heal. I know H1Z1 didn't have one. Ark might have one, but that's got to do with a specific dinosaur or something.
Well, they got dinosaurs that will do area heals.
Yeah, but I just thought that was interesting. That is very much an MMO mechanic. You think of a game like Guild Wars or WoW, throwing in a healing pot or pod or something like that to dispense healing. Super interesting. Not sure what kind of impact it'll have, but an interesting mechanic for a game this style.
Well, this is a game that is highly focused on PvP and those aspects. So in a way, they kind of do make it a little bit like an MMO. So kind of the concept of an MMO where you have a group of people maybe fighting another group of people, and you need to have support and you need to have tanks, and all these people are doing these different roles. And vehicles in this kind of play into that somewhat. But I think with this, this is the kind of thing that they need, because they need something to where people do combat. They don't have all these normal guns. You're fighting giant walkers. They want it to feel epic. They show graphics with all the smoke and all these different things happening. I think that's how they're going to make the battle feel like something's actually happening. They need to have a lot of smoke going everywhere and explosions and all kinds of crazy stuff. So I think this is a smart thing for them to put in now, because it'll make the battles a lot more interesting, if anything.
Yeah. So they've got that in there. Pretty neat mechanic. And of course, they've got those different bombs. So the cluster bomb explodes on impact and splits into more bombs, of course. The insect bomb releases stinging insects that will follow players who get near them and do some continuous damage. And then the healing bomb is the one that's that yellow gas that you saw. That's the healing.
So then you'll try to probably move your walker into that gas.
Yeah. Actually, no, that's not
getting the healing effect.
Yeah, and then it says there's also a sulfur bomb. I'm not sure if the sulfur looks like the green, but they don't explicitly say that. But yeah, so pretty neat, cool stuff from Last Oasis. We'll have some player numbers coming up from them here in a little bit on current players. So that is a new update from Last Oasis in the game, actually out now.
All right. You want to? There's a game that was announced, and I just wanted. It's not so much for the game. Okay. But it's the politics around the game that I figured maybe you'd want to talk about for a minute.
Okay.
First of all, this is a game that is put on a Kickstarter, but it's backed by Riot. We all know Tencent owns Riot now. And
Riot, hold on a second. Riot's got a game on Kickstarter?
Yes.
Riot, like League of Legends Riot?
Yes.
They've got more money than God.
Yes, but for some reason they put a game on Kickstarter. And first of all, there is a tweet, and usually I feel like people can kind of do whatever they want, but I thought they're supposed to be. I don't know. It's very odd to me. I don't mind. People can do whatever they want, but with this, the focus of the game, the main selling point of the game is that it's a majority female, Black, queer led core organization. So that's what they said. That's what they're saying makes them important, is that they're mostly female, and they're all either Black or gay. And so this is, I don't know. It seemed very odd to me. But with a lot of this stuff, and they are really pushing Black Lives Matter on the Kickstarter page. And so I don't know if people are really focusing on, we've brought this up over and over again. Black Lives Matter, their primary goal is to push communism. Well, Riot is owned by Tencent, which is owned by China, whose primary focus is to promote communism in America. Just a little bit of a wake up, because a lot of people, I just feel like they walk around not realizing what's happening around them. And this is one of those things where politics are being pushed by a foreign country, if you want to talk about interference. And here's one example of it.
Yeah,
And this is a primary Black Lives. Their primary push on this is Black Lives Matter, but it's being done by China, which I can promise you isn't a big proponent of minorities. If you look at how they've treated minorities.
Oh yes, I mean you look at the current Muslims in China, the Uyghurs
that are
they're in concentration camp.
Yes.
Yeah, they're in essentially concentration camp
at the moment.
Yeah, which is crazy. But there's one comment on here, Brian, which I thought was interesting. Of course, it's hidden by Twitter. Of course, they show all the other people, but this one is the only hidden comment on here. It says, Wauda Chronicles, that's the name of the game. Seems interesting. Love the art style. Why are you focusing on promoting your racism and sexism though? I don't understand. Good luck with the game. I hope when it's out, Twitter will promote it. I hope Twitter will promote it as fervently as it promotes this racist crap. So, it just I'm glad there's at least one person in the comments here that has the same viewpoint that you and I do, that when I say I don't give a shit about your sexual preference, I really don't. And no. I have a really hard time. And in this case, I will not play your game because you feel the need to shove your political agenda down my
and the
throat.
Fact that you've chosen to hire based on things that you're not supposed to be basing your hiring on,
which is the definition of racism.
Equal opportunity employment means equal, and when you say we're hiring but you have to check all these boxes, that is reverse racism /
It's not reverse
sexism.
Racism. It is racism.
Well, I mean, it's the opposite.
Sexism.
It's the same. It's the exact same thing. But they think that you can't be racist against other people. Well, this is something it's just frustrating to me to see blatant open racism and sexism happen. Yet you're supposed to be like, oh, I'm not. I always talk about the emperor's new clothes. It's that I'm supposed to pretend like it's not happening. I'm supposed to ignore the racism. I'm supposed to ignore the sexism. I can't report this on Twitter for racism and sexism because I'm a white male. It is impossible for a white male to report racism and sexism on themselves. Impossible on Twitter.
Interesting.
So, yeah, I don't know if people have noticed that. If you're a white male, you cannot complete answering truthfully the report functionality. Because you have to put, I have to be a minority group. You can only have racism against you if you are not white. You can only have sexism against you if you are not male. That's like saying that you can't be abused. A male cannot be abused physically. That is a lie. There's more male abuse than there is female abuse in the world. If you look at the statistics, but you're telling me that it's impossible. Well, here, I can promise you that people can be racist against white people. 100%. It's happening every day. It happens all the time. I can go on Twitter and I can find you tons of examples immediately.
Yeah, but
you can be
not even
racist against people's sex.
But not even that, Brian. It's just it comes back to this same argument that we've had over and over again. And unfortunately, we've come to the point where we have to have these conversations on this program because it's just so infiltrated. I just don't know. We've been doing the show 5.5 years now.
Mm-hmm.
I just, at no point have we ever made, I can't think of any time where either your or my skin color or sexual preference has played into anything relevant here on the show. And of course, the people will say, oh, well, every decision you make is because of your skin color. I mean, that's bullshit. And you know it is. I can't think of anything that we've ever said that I said, oh, and Brian, the reason that I'm saying this is because I'm white. It's just, I can't fathom that. And it's just really frustrating that we've seen yet now another game, again, being backed by Riot, of all people, which of course you do mention is 100% owned by the CCP, promoting this garbage. It's just frustrating.
I feel like I want my
politics separate. I want it separate. I don't want it to be the same.
One thing I'm so surprised is that people still don't understand what Black Lives Matter is about. And this is another very blatant example. You have the Chinese government, which is not friendly towards black people. It is not friendly towards gay people. All these, and they're not very friendly towards women. If you go and look at what's actually happening over there, yet they're pushing here. And if you're looking into it, I think it's to destabilize America as much as possible. I think that's their only goal in this. And so they're pushing Black Lives Matter because they found that they can promote communism through it. And look at what it's done to the country. I mean, that's my opinion, but that's based on seeing this roll out and seeing, I mean, I've been calling out China since H1Z1 early on. I think it was one of the first, you and I were some of the first people to do this. And I was one of the first person, I was the first person to really realize that China was the only people left playing the whole game. I'm sure internally they knew that. They could see the numbers, but they definitely were talking about it and no one realized it. And then all of a sudden, bam, look, it was very open and out there. The only people playing the game anymore were from China.
Yeah.
And they took over the whole game, and then China banned it, and then the whole company was done. So I don't know. This is another one of those things where you just see it. And it's like, this is the definition of racism. This is the definition of sexism and, whatever isms that you could throw in there. This checks all those boxes. Yet it's being praised as like the greatest thing.
Yeah.
It's just very strange to me.
Very, very strange. I agree. Yeah. I agree completely. Well, again, not a game that we're going to talk about.
I just wanted to mention it because it came across my feed and I was just like, okay, this is odd.
Yeah.
Why is Riot, first of all, doing this? And then Riot's very blatantly backing Black Lives Matter here.
Yeah.
And that's a Chinese company. I mean, it's owned by China.
Yeah. Very frustrating. Let's talk about Unity here for a second, Brian. Their IPO happened and they raised more than $1.3 billion and are now at a valuation of $13.6 billion.
Yep.
So that's cool. I read through the article. It goes into equity and losses and whatnot. It's not super relevant for this. If you're into investing or financial stuff. Now, again, I'll give good stock picks, obviously
all day long.
All day long. I don't know what they're currently trading at.
Earlier this week, it was $44 to $48 was the range. So it went up from $34 to $42 from before that. I think it might be more, was around the $50 something range.
I'm currently looking for it feverishly and can't find it.
Yeah. So, but that's earlier in the week. That's about what they were at. So now I wonder how much of this, as far as the positivity right now, I mean, if you look, Unreal and Epic might be in a weird spot. There are some hints. Do you want to cover very much more about this in particular, or can we transition to a similar topic?
I found it. Unity.
Okay.
I think are they Unity software? This has got to be that.
Unity Technologies.
Oh, well, maybe they're not Unity softwares. Yeah, they're not. Well, no. This is them. No, it's not. That's a lie. No, maybe this is them. September 1st. Is that when they got on the market?
I think so, yeah. So $84.82.
Okay, that is, so then they are Unity software. Their ticker is U. Not sure how they got that. That's pretty cool.
So yeah, so they're definitely, so that's jumped up quite a bit even since this article because it's doubled.
Well, okay, to be fair, today was an incredibly good day on the stock market. So
yeah,
that might be a little down. It
went up $11.86 today, right?
Yeah, which is almost a 20% increase. It was a very, very good day on the stock market. So take that for what it's worth. My portfolio was looking today at close, so we're chilling with that. But yeah, pretty cool. If you want to buy now, so one thing, Brian, I'll note. Again, not financial advice. People say, "Oh, $84 share, that's a lot." If you use an app like Robinhood or any other app, you can buy a partial share of a company. Yeah. You don't have to buy an entire share of Unity. Now, this obviously is more relevant when it comes to companies like Apple and Amazon who are trading at thousands of dollars a share, thousands, tens of thousands a share, depending on the company. But you can buy $20 into Unity, and over time, buy $20 every couple. That's what I'm saying is you can actually do that. So if you want to dabble a little bit into this stuff, you can get into it and not have to put $90 down for a single share. So, tip of the week for it.
So, one thing I'm kind of wondering, people are looking at this very highly, but we have another company that's pretty much this company's competition, which I think may be going into a very weird point in time with, first of all, Epic and Riot and Tencent. We just discussed them a little bit with that Kickstarter, but they are possibly going to be getting some government scrutiny because those are companies that are also majority shared or 100% shared by the Chinese government. You saw TikTok this past week that was closed down, or not closed, but they're not allowed to continue the way they were. They're having to be purchased out and then continue under an American company for their American dealings or U.S. dealings. But now people are getting really nervous about these other companies that we've been talking quite a bit about in the last number of months, saying, "Hey, do you guys realize?"
Yeah, we've been airing that. Brian, we had smoke signals out the beginning of the year about this stuff, and everybody, no. And I'll tell you what, political Nick here. Welcome back to the program. If in fact Donald Trump wins in November, which, like it or hate it, there's a high probability of it, this is only going to get worse with China because he is going tit for tat with China. And if they're going to continue to to dick us around, Trump doesn't care. Now, if Joe Biden wins, it might be a different story, but I can guarantee you if he wins another 4 years, this is only going to get worse because he has been beating the war drum on China for 5+ years now. And it's not going to stop. And very nervous for those companies.
For people that are really in the know, I think if you look at what he had said at the beginning of his election, it has panned out to be 100% true. China, these things that he's been saying about China ended up being true. But Epic currently has this battle going on with Apple and all this. I'm sure that's not helping them, as far as people's comfort level in their future. And also you have this stuff going on with possible companies that are primarily owned by China, having sanctions and various other forced sales being put on them. Now, this is companies like Epic, like Riot, we just mentioned. Reddit Tencent is the main company that you're seeing over this. Tencent owns a majority stake in Reddit, or they have Reddit, Discord, Snapchat. A lot of these very big things that you see.
Do they have my private pictures that I've sent to people?
No, you probably.
Brian, you've got to. Brian, you didn't save any of those pictures, did you?
No, don't worry. I only keep them for 24 hours. I'm sure they don't have a copy. And then they have, Activision Blizzard, which we talked about earlier.
Small, Roblox, to be clear, it's like 5% of Activision. Take that for what it's worth.
No, for that one is a minority share, yeah.
Well, and I think some of the other ones are too, like Discord. But Glue Mobile, I think they own completely.
I think they own Glue Mobile completely.
And they own Riot completely.
And they own 100% of Riot. So this is something to where if they start really cracking down on this could be some pretty big news. This could be some major shakeups. Yeah. And if you're wondering, how can Xbox or Sony purchase large companies, gaming companies, at a discount price? How could they pull that off? Possibly by buying a forced sale company of whatever name the Tencent holding. that has an American, this would be, if they're looking at ways to corner the market on some of these major ones, they could get some decent amount of stock. I don't know that they would limit them from being able to own stock in Activision, but for these ones where they have the majority share, I bet they would be forced out of the majority share.
Well, they could also force the sale of the.
I mean, they can force 100%, but I think they're mostly concerned about ones where they have primary control. But I mean,
I think they own 30 or 40% of Epic. It's a good chunk of it. It's Tim Sweeney still's the majority holder, but
which I think may work out for him in the long run because they can't make major decisions without him. But some of these others don't.
But my point is, My point is, if the U.S. government, I'm not an FEC expert, or FTC, Federal Trade Commission expert, but if the U.S. government forced divestment in these companies from Tencent or from China, yeah, you're absolutely right. It could be a fire sale for companies like Activision, Blizzard, for Sony and Microsoft that can go in here and gobble up 5, 10, 15, 20% of these companies, and you know, obviously it's not a majority share, but it's enough that you can slowly buy it up and then eventually acquire it completely. And that could be a big play. But I'll tell you what, Brian, as much as I like some of these companies on this list, I do think, and again, going a little political here for a second, I do think that these conversations need to be had, because China does not have our best interests in mind. That's been shown blatantly now. The fact that we've all been locked down in our houses now for freaking more than half the year because of China's incompetence. So yeah, I think this is a conversation that needs to be had, and I hope whether it be Donald Trump or Joe Biden will continue to beat this war drum, because China hates us. They've always hated us. And now they're buying up, and they have been buying up for years, large majorities of our companies right under our nose. And it took, some reality TV show star and WWE wrestler to show up and say, hey, what the hell's going on with this? That's really scary, man, when you realize that a country that hates you, hates your ideologies, hates everything that your country is built on, has bought up all of your media in the terms of Hollywood, and is now infiltrating our market here, the video game stuff. And Jade Lauren mentions Funcom.
They just bought Funcom in the last couple
weeks. Yeah, no, we talked about that. Yeah. We talked about that a couple of weeks ago. But Funcom's such a small company, it's not a big deal. It's a small company.
Yeah. But that would explain why all of a sudden they have all this extra money to start throwing into this expansion, and it seems like they're really doing a big push on content now. So, that is this will be interesting. I just thought it would be interesting to bring that up. Now there was another Epic piece of news here. Epic did do an investment into a game creation and content, or in a sharing system called Core, for $15 million. And this it's not Unreal Editor. This is another tool that people use to make games. And Sweeney said, he wants to kind of push forward making games in general. So he put this money towards this so that they could continue going and improving this. It's Manticore is the company, but Core is the name of the game engine. So, but it's for making online multiplayer games and then being able to share them with friends. I don't know if you remember a system called PlayStation's Dreams that they used for making games in there, but it's something like that. So
yeah,
another investment by Epic.
Interesting.
All right. Do you have a preference where we go from here?
No, not particularly.
Let's just mention really quick. There's been some notices on Fallout 76.
Yeah, what's going on with that?
Well, they're delaying some of their content updates until next year, because it was in their previous roadmap to have some of these things come out in 2020. So, for instance, like they had shown the Steel Dawn quest line was planned to arrive in the fall, followed by the continuation of the story with Fractured Steel in winter. It says, after further discussion, we've decided that we would like the Brotherhood's return to Appalachia to be a larger moment for the game. As a result, we are combining Steel Dawn and Fractured Steel so that you have more story quests to dig into. And so that's going to be going out. They're pushing that date out. Also, they said, additionally, we want to fill 2020 with as much fun as possible. We also want to make sure we have the time necessary to fully develop some of the other features and content we're planning to release. So we've made a few adjustments to our schedule and included them in an updated roadmap. And then actually here, sorry, I should put this. I'll put a roadmap on there so you can see this. But they did make an updated roadmap here, which shows what's going to be in 2020 versus 2021. So you have pretty much introducing seasons is going to be 2020, right? That's what I'm gathering. And then is it for Wasteland for All? Is that going to 2021, or is it all three of them? It's hard to say from this picture.
No, it's the stuff at the bottom. The new daily.
So they're
ops,
saying all of those are going to 2021.
No. Those three things are the roadmap. Moving to 2021 is new daily ops, perk loadouts, and expeditions. From how I'm reading it.
Oh, okay, I see. Okay, good.
That's how I'm reading it. Yeah.
Okay, so it's all these things, these three things. Now they're waiting on Steel Dawn. So I just wasn't sure if it was like everything after the one Wasteland for All. So they have summer, fall, and winter now. So they're going to be starting the Steel Dawn in winter, it looks like, and then kind of moving it out from there. So we will see, but that is delayed. So if you're waiting for some of the new expansions and things from Fallout 76, you're going to have to wait a little bit longer.
Gotcha. All right. Let's see what time. Yeah, we're doing pretty good on time. I do want to talk about Spotify real quickly though. And we've talked about it in the past. Joe Rogan show, of course, is now Spotify exclusive. A story came out today. I saw this at work. Excuse me, I saw this when I was at my lunch break. That Spotify employees are now demanding editing rights over Joe Rogan's show. So the claim from the employees at Spotify. Now I'll give the CEO or the CEO for Spotify. So far, he's been successful in holding back the mob. But now, after some comments that he made about how Antifa was setting wildfires in Oregon, which there is actually substantial proof of, but that's not here nor there. He gave this big heartfelt apology on Twitter and Instagram and says, quote, "I fucked up. Shouldn't have done that." But now Spotify.
No, he said left-wing people. He said left-wing people.
Yeah,
which,
But in his apology, he says he fucked up. That was his response. So he made this big,
but I'm saying, he didn't say Antifa, but he was just saying left-winged people, which I don't know, and activists and protesters. So
yeah, the point is, the employees now want to essentially screen his shows before they go out, which I really like. I like Joe. I'm not one of these like, oh, I listen to Joe Rogan, I'm an intellectual people, because those people are retards. But he's getting what he deserves on this. He should have known better than this, and he deserves everything that's going to come with this.
He should have signed in the contract, you do not have the right to do ... is what he should have done, because he claimed he claimed he did.
Well, and maybe he did, and because they haven't done it yet.
Then he should just tell him to screw it. What are you going to look at the contract? If you don't like it, you can pay out my full contract if you'd like and cancel me. That's your choice, or you can abide by the contract.
Yeah, and that's it. Joe took the podcasting technology of RSS, which he had, and has gotten rid of that to go to a proprietary platform, a left-wing proprietary platform, which we all knew was left-wing beforehand, and it is probably going to be the death of his show, and it should be. If he's gonna start censoring what he wants to talk about and have these big, crazy, heartfelt apologies when he says something that is actually verifiably true.
He's going to lose respect from people. Yeah.
I'm not going to listen to him anymore. That's.
Well, I'm not going to pay to Spotify to listen to him. That's for certain.
Well, I mean, you can listen to him for free on Spotify, but still, it's just the point. What made podcasts so great is that they weren't network television, Brian. What makes podcasts so great is that they're not cable television. What makes podcasts so great is that they're not DirecTV or Dish TV or anything else. There's no rules and no regulations. You could say whatever the hell you want. And now,
what I wish would happen is that the whole, like, pretty much the equivalent of the Apple RSS feed marketplace, the whole podcast system that they have there. There should be there should be pretty much the equivalent open source organization or some sort of group that runs that. Now
What?
we know that would still be taken over by politics,
Runs the what?
but like that runs the podcasting platform as far as the RSS feed network,
Yeah, did you
rather
see
than
that?
having Apple do it.
Yeah, Adam Curry just started one.
Oh, did he? Okay. I
Yeah,
was just thinking this past week, I was like, they should have one that doesn't care about your politics. Have it be an open platform.
It's called podcastindex.org. And it is
Okay.
they are lining up to be, they are an open project indexer to index podcasts. That's what they do.
As long as they can get enough of them on there to where these podcast apps include them in the search results, that's all that would need to happen. The only reason that Apple controls the whole market is because all the apps use their index.
Yes, which by the way, Adam sold to Apple back in like 2006 or 2005. He
sold them their database. He sold or gave them their original index.
Yeah.
And they've been pretty good about not censoring on that, but it is very dangerous to have that. I think that, and this is an example here, the reason that Joe has been able to have so many diverse speakers and topics on his show is because he had it on RSS. And, in YouTube, he gets censored, and all the other platforms. And now we're finding here, he gets censored. The only place that didn't get censored was the RSS feeds, which they truly couldn't have 100% controlled. Even if Apple goes tomorrow and removed him from the listing, all the people that have added them on their podcast apps would still have that RSS feed linked to it, and they would still be getting all their episodes. So they can't kill people. They can't silence people. They can't shut someone down overnight with that type of a system. I just think that I think more steps need to be made to allow people to have the freedom to speak.
Yeah.
Well, because we're seeing, you used to say, well, if they shut down people that are speaking, hate speech, or, I think you're starting to see anyone with a counter opinion is now considered hate speech.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be actual. It's not based on what they're saying. It's just the fact that it's not agreeing with you.
Yep. Well, podcastindex.org. We are listed. I've submitted us to the index, so we are in fact indexed. So if any apps use this service, we will be on there.
Listed on there. Okay.
Yes, we are way off track here. Let's talk about Cyberpunk here real quick.
Okay.
We've got a couple things here with Cyberpunk. They released a like an in-game website. Like very similar to like a GTA, like a GTA web page in the game.
Like when you go into the computer, yeah.
But they released it out of game, and it's nightcity.love, and Night City is the name of the city. You can see they've got some political ads here. Weldon Holt for mayor, and this other guy who's also running for mayor, who's holding a pistol in his campaign picture. He'll fight for you. There's fake ads on here for,
and all the pop-ups. They got pop-ups and everything.
Yeah, pop-ups all over. Yeah, like there's just these pop-ups won't go away. They're all over the place. This is done. This is Cyberpunk. People thought that this wasn't. This is Cyberpunk. Like this is CD Projekt Red doing this, which is super cool. Most of the links don't go anywhere as of right now. There's a little bit of text on here, but it's it's very cool. I like this.
Yeah,
this is lore.
Yep. And this is kind of building up that feeling. This is the kind of stuff I like, because they've got, this is one thing I really liked about Grand Theft Auto was just all the stuff happening. And, they kind of create their own little things were happening in the city. Businesses were running and everything else. And you could go on and see those businesses as you went through the game and went online. You could buy stocks in the companies. So I think they're kind of going for that same thing here. So we will see. You can, the thing that you can click are the districts, or the mouse overs work, which makes me think you click them, nothing happens yet.
Yeah, they do. They changes the text down here.
Oh, does it? Okay, there we go. Okay, there we go. I wasn't scrolled down enough. So they got some information there, and they got all the zones. But I'm wondering if, as you said, they'll start putting in more things later, or if this is pretty much it for now.
Yeah, pretty neat. The URL's a little sketch, nightcity.love. I mean, just
What can go wrong there?
Yeah, I mean, if you miss a character, God only knows where you might end up. But yeah, you can check it out. There's a body count at the top of the website. It's pretty neat.
Is that
and
Chicago?
no loading
Wait,
screens.
Night City. Okay.
Yeah, Night City. Yeah, it's too low to be Chicago. Outside of that though, we did get specs for PC. All right, minimum specs are looking a lot better than I was anticipating. First of all, the fact that they have Windows 7 on here is stone cold retarded. Windows 7 is a not supported operating system. It should not work. It is an unsupported OS. That's my IT person coming out. That is not, and yeah, that's stupid. You should not be running Windows 7. Moving on from that, DirectX 12 processors. They say an i5 3570K or an AMD FX 8310. Now, again, this is minimum. The 8310 is a terrible processor, so that's a little shocking. 8 gigs of RAM, minimum graphics cards, which are still pretty beefy cards, a GTX 780 3 gig or a Radeon RX 470, and then they recommend at least 70 gigs of hard drive space. Recommended system requirements are DirectX 12, an i7 4790, which is a couple-year-old chip. I believe that's what I had in my old system that I just replaced. A Ryzen 3 3200G, 12 gigabytes of RAM. Now, this is where the graphics card comes in, Brian. 1066 gig or an R9 Fury is the recommended specs, which I think is a lot better than people were anticipating. I didn't think I was going to be able to play this game. I've got a 1070. So I'm not saying I'm going to be able to play it. I'm not going to be able to play it at 1440p, or excuse me, at 144 hertz, and I might not even be able to play it at 1440p. But if I can't get my hands on a 3080 or 3070, the 1060 is a more than obtainably priced card, and I think it's a pretty standard generation card in the 10 series. You have a 1080, right?
Yeah, 1080.
So you'll be able to roll with this. I'll definitely be good minus the GPU possibly, but the recommended specs were a little bit better than I was anticipating. I was expecting it to need at least a 1080 or higher or something.
I assume that they'll have, I mean, with their settings in there, going to ultimate, it'd be interesting to see how high that ramps up.
Nothing.
Like once you get to the epic settings.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think they're kind of future. I think they're making it for the future to where as computers get better, you'll eventually be able to run. Now they did confirm that with Crysis, you can run Crysis at full specs on the newest 3080.
Yeah, well, you should. Yeah, but we joke about Crysis. That game came out in 2006 or 2007, and it up until like some recent GPUs did not play the game at Ultra. At that point, it was a 10-plus-year-old game because they had so much baked into it. This game will probably be similar. Maybe Cyberpunk will be the new Crysis for benchmark, and that'd be neat. I like the idea that it seems like it improves as your computer improves. You find like, I can raise up my settings, and it's not like you're getting max experience day one. So that is minimum specs. They also say that they're working on Dolby Atmos support as well. So if you've got a Dolby Atmos system on your PC with your headset's Dolby Atmos, they're optimizing that as well. So I think sigh relief for me, at least. I was afraid I wasn't going to be able to play this game, but it appears I will.
I'll have to consider whether or not I want to try to run it on PC, especially if they have modding and things. That's the main thing. PC. The main thing, and that's mainly because of this company. If you look at what they did with Witcher has excellent modding. Now they did a really good job of making it so you had good modding support. Even on consoles, you still had some things you could do, but on PC, it's a night and day difference on what you can do with modding on games like this. So I'm kind of hoping that we will see some really cool things that you can do with Cyberpunk and a reason to play it on PC, because just like on GTA, it's that much better graphics. There's something that much better about it on a PC that a console just can't quite deliver. And so we'll see. Hopefully it's good.
Yeah.
All right. Do you want to talk a little bit? Do you want to talk a little bit about PUBG?
Yeah. What do you got on the PUBG front?
So now they put out that 8.3 patch. We talked about the test last week that they put out to the test servers. That is now on live. So 8.3 is on live, which has those fairies that we talked about. the jammer pack, and then they have an assist system where they're tracking the assist system in there now. They made changes to the sounds, and then some performance tweaks and things like that. So all those changes, the UI up, they also redid some of their UI and put some new skins in there. So that is in there from that. They also have done an arena mode, which I think just announced. So this week we're bringing you something new that combines intense PUBG gameplay with the tactics of an arena shooter. We call this Labs Experiment Arena Mode. It's a 64-person squad-based match that drops you into one of several sectioned-off zones on these 3 different maps. You'll fight it out with up to 2 other squads to claim victory in your arena. Should you lose, your team will lose one of its 3 chances, which eliminates you once they're gone. Claim victory, and you move on to the next round with a stronger position than those who failed. And when 3 or fewer squads remain, they'll enter a sudden death arena where the winner takes all, regardless of how many chances you have left. There's the main differences between the normal match and this is that the weapons do not spawn in the world. Instead, you need to use currency that you earn by eliminating other players to purchase your arsenal through the loadout menu. Knocked allies can also be revived in 5 seconds, which is important in maintaining your advantage in the small, intense fights. Surviving the arena means teamwork, smart tactical decisions, from matching your loadout to the terrain you're in, to watching each other's backs until you've got eyes on your enemies, to coordinating your attacks. Arena mode is sure to test your teamwork and communication skills. So, they adjust the rules. They put some custom game setting modes in there, but that is going to be a lab, which you can enable in the PUBG client to where you'll have access to this mode and try them out. And this is not the normal BR, which we always talk about, BR burnout. They're kind of reinventing the wheel and going for a more traditional style combat.
Yeah, that mode seems odd though, doesn't it? That like you 3 chances.
Fortnite did something kind of similar to where you had combat in a small little area. Sounds like they're trying to capture that and get
the chances are what's weird.
A death match.
Yeah, and then the chances kind of remind me of the Gulag from COD BR, which has been a pretty successful mechanic.
Well, you pretty much have 3. It's 3 strikes and you're out. It's pretty much what it is.
Interesting. Well, somebody's playing it. Well, some people are still playing the game now. Are they playing it in there are people playing in the U.S. Not anywhere near as across the world, but there are people still playing in the U.S.
Yep. So we'll see what happens. That's PUBG.
All right. Excellent.
Rocket League we did mention that they were going to be going to the Epic Game Store, and they have done that. They did their September update, and this went across all consoles and the PC. So now what you do is Epic Games account linking and cross-platform progression are available. So you'll need to use an Epic account to be able to play the game, even if you have the Steam version. Nintendo Switch Online. Well, I don't like that. I can understand.
I don't.
But I understand what they had it working before, though, right?
It worked with Cynet, yeah.
Which I think is, but
I don't want to log. I don't want to log into an Epic account. That pisses me off. I'm not going to play that. I don't want to deal with that. I just want to play.
So that's one of the things kind of more controversial that they've done. Nintendo Switch Online is no longer required to play Rocket League Online.
Oh, that's cool.
They added new vehicle presets on one of the cars. Now it says you can now link each platform you play Rocket League to a single Epic Games account to share progression, inventory, Rocket Pass progress, competitive rank, and more. For each progression data, you will select a primary platform to progress everywhere. If you're level 1000 and Champion 2 on PC and level 500 and Diamond 3 on your console, you want to pick your PC profile as your primary. We strongly recommend you link every account you play at the same time so that you can make an informed choice when selecting your primary platform. For players who link their existing Rocket League platforms to Epic will also receive the Chopper Egg wheels, or EG, Chopper EG wheels. Epic Friends have replaced Rocket ID, which it used before, as a solution for cross-platform friends in Rocket League. Your Rocket ID friends will automatically be converted to Epic Friends in your first login. The in-game friends list has been updated to display both your platform friends and your Epic Friends in one panel for easier access. If you played Rocket League before the free-to-play update was released, you have Legacy Status. Legacy Status includes special loyalty reward items, including boost, wheel banner, and special title that commemorates the year your account was created. Legacy Status holders also get special Legacy quality versions of every common item available before the free-to-play changeover, as well as access to all non-licensed DLC items. Trading, so for people that purchased the game prior to it going free to play, is what they're talking about.
Which is most people.
Anyone who's had it up to now.
Yeah,
much.
but I mean, like, this is a game that has been out for, 8 years. It's a crazy amount of time since this game's been out.
Yeah. I mean, you'll have a lot of kids who maybe, the parents didn't buy it for them, getting it now. Trading with another player now requires a linked Epic Games account. Trading with another player will now require both accounts to have purchased 500 credits or equivalent to deter fraud. Players with Legacy Status are exempt from this requirement. So if you purchase the game, that's for pretty much people that are free to play originally.
This is just complicated, dude. There's a lot. I got to link all my accounts at the same time, and I got to pick a primary. Why? I mean, why? Why does it have to be so complicated?
Nope. Players new to Rocket League with this update will see a new interactive intro cinematic, as well as special guidance when navigating the in-game menus. New players will need to reach level 10 before they can matchmake in competitive playlists. And then they talk about tournaments, which we don't need to go into. They did some updates to the menu and UI, and then some of their general updates. So They did one thing they did. DirectX 9 is no longer supported, so you can no longer play it on DirectX 9.
Jesus. Well, there you go. That's Rocket League. A lot of
and they actually did one little small update,
okay.
1.882, but mainly it was just fixes on some of the big changes that they've done. So nothing major for that. Now, one thing they're going to be doing this weekend is a Rocket League and Fortnite Collide crossover event.
Yay.
And there's a video if you want to play that really quick.
I'd love to play it.
Shows it. I know you love it.
It's so stupid. They took a perfectly fine working game and are now going to junk it up with all their epic BS and ruin it.
Pretty much some Fortnite themed items in there. So that is happening. So that is happening. I think this weekend. They're going to have some special playlists and challenges for this. So you're more than welcome to go check it out. It begins actually on the 26th. So on Saturday. And yeah,
well, make sure you.
I'm trying. I don't see the end. Oh, through October 12th.
Make sure you spend your Friday night trying to figure out how the hell to get your accounts linked and selecting the right account and giving them your social security number and all this other garbage. I mean, that just sounds very don't get me wrong. I like Rocket League and I like Epic, but this is the kind of stuff that people get pissed off about, Brian. You know it. This is the kind of stuff.
Now, I have gone through.
Yeah, so have I. It's a pain in the...
I did this just for the Epic launcher itself, not because of this.
Yeah, so I haven't done this with Rocket League yet, but I've done it with other games, and it's frankly just a pain in the ass. And it's just, I get that they have to do it, but they don't have to do it. I see why they do it. They bought the game. It's their platform. They're trying to merge it in. But this is how you get, and maybe they don't care. They probably don't. This is how you get bad press and bad PR, because people get really frustrated by, now I got to link my accounts, and it's, I own this. I've got this game on the PC, Xbox, and Switch. So now I got to turn all them on and get them all linked. It's just a big headache. And I just don't want to deal with it. So it's frustrating. But if you want to play the game, I guess you don't really have a choice.
Yeah, and if you go into the Epic launcher, they do have a place where you can pretty much associate all these different platforms to the Epic launcher.
Gotcha. All right. Well, maybe it's not quite so bad. Either way, it still pisses me off.
Yeah, I mean, once you go through and do it, then it's done. But they do it one time, and it will cover everything in the Epic launcher. It's not specifically for Rocket League.
Okay, well, that's
you just link all of your accounts to the Epic launcher, and then it can see, it has access to Steam, and it talks back and forth for all these various things.
Then the Chinese can see everything that you've got.
Exactly.
Let's talk about a game that is not owned by the Chinese. 7 Days to Die. Really quick patch here. They added the ambulance. They removed simple rotations from POI decoration hubcap no mine, and then fixed tool bell slots 9 and 10 not having localization, being language localization, and then exchanged the feral Hawaiian with the old model. So they went back to the old model. They must have not either liked the performance or the look of the new one. So real quick update there for 7 Days to Die Alpha 19B5-B8.
Okay.
So,
and then we also have Unturned.
Yeah, what's going
which
on?
Which put out an update today. This is a 3.20.10.0, and this is mostly about networking, but they do explain some of the things that they've changed in this. The network transport layer is responsible for carrying data between your client and the server. Ever since 3.0 began development, it was hard-coded to use Steam's networking v1, but is now being rewritten to support alternatives like the new Steam networking v2 and generic sockets for offline LANs. In order to narrow down bugs with the rewrite, this update still defaults to the old Steam network, but contains a huge number of changes to the game-level netcode to support the transport refactor. If there are big issues with the update, it will be rolled back, but it has been stable in beta so far. Where possible, backwards compatibility with plugins has been maintained, but plugins both doing unsupported things like modifying the network buffers will need to be fixed. This is an unfortunate side effect. However, this rewrite is important for future netcode improvements. If you host your own server, they give you the command line you could do to be able to enable this new networking. But that is pretty much what this update did, is just put in the new networking code that they're going to be eventually rolling to for everybody.
Gotcha.
So
all right,
that is it.
Let's take a look at Arc real quick. The first two updates, 3.13.23 and 3.13.28, fixed server crashes. So then we'll move on to 3.13.30. This one's got a couple things in it. Fixed multiple level design related bugs such as holes, floating foliage, incorrect volumes, etc. Fixed fence supports requiring foundation support when trying to snap those together. Fixed an exploit which allowed players to bring tames to the Genesis Gauntlet missions, which you were not allowed to do. Fixed the defeat boss admin command. Added additional sockets onto the skiff, which auto turrets can use as a targeting option. Added some protections to the tribe UI to prevent players from accidentally leaving their own tribe or kicking themselves out. Prevented visuals from displaying in spectator mode. Fixed a bug which allowed you to complete Genesis gather missions before hitting all the requirements. Fixed a bug which would allow you to build a floating base. Fixed a bug which prevented the Megalocleons Cleons from counting towards the platform Dino limit. Fixed a mesh exploit, and then fixed a bug which prevented catapults from applying damage when shooting boulders. We then move on to 3.13.33, Brian, where they fixed a server crash, and then of course move on to 3.13.35, where they also fixed a server crash. Somebody got a big loud truck out here, probably a
nice.
small objects, but a big truck. So out of the 5 updates this week for Arc, 4 of them fixed server crashes. One of them actually fixed other things. So it was a bit of a rough week on the Arc server front, but they got a 4 out of 5 on updating fixing server crashes. So that is
very good.
Arc.
All right, well, let's talk a little bit about Ring of Elysium.
All right,
and on this, of course, this is a BR game that's it's out of Japan, or maybe it's Korea. I don't know. It's either Japan or Korea, but they're doing their second anniversary events They're doing some new rotation of game modes. And so, first of all, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, LTMs have been changed to Grand Adventure. Saturday and Sunday's LTMs have been changed to Heavy Metal. So those are adjustments they made. Now they're doing their anniversary event, which is going to go from September 17th, which was just during this past week, to October 14th. So they've added 3 types of event items. So first of all, Sakura's mask, Alice's hat, and Jacques' headphones, which you can be used to redeem exclusive anniversary characters and other rewards. During the events, players can obtain the events via eliminating opponents or surviving in non-training mode games, or for looting airdrops in non-training mode games. After collecting enough character fragment items, you can redeem those to unlock those characters and items. Also, after the event items will be reclaimed by the system and redeem panel will be closed. So if you don't turn them in before the event is over, you lose those items. They have an anniversary daily check-in that you can do to get some coins. They also have an anniversary card flip. So from the 17th to the 14th, you can participate in the card flip after completing the assigned daily tasks. Card flip rewards include accessories, portraits. After completing 7 card flips, players can also claim an exclusive MK12 anniversary weapon skin. And then they'll have the anniversary gifts, so the logins between those dates. You receive a second anniversary exclusive rewards, including a traversal equipment appearance set and exclusive accessory and coin supply boxes. And then they added some new items to their coin shop, which we don't need to go over. They've added some items around their map for the anniversary, and then unlocked 2 characters with 2 different style, or actually 3 different styles. So, or 2 or 3 styles. And then made some adjustments to DirectX 12 compatibility with some Nvidia cards. So that is it.
All right. And that actually is it. I'm very surprised we were able to get all through this stuff in a little over time, but not as bad as I thought it was going to be. You got anything else before we roll into current players?
No, I think that's it.
All right.
So whenever you're ready.
All right. Well, thank you. Let's take a look at current players, some people that are currently playing some video games. We're going to start it off with DayZ. Currently playing this, 18,590. The 24-hour peak, 2,999, with a 7-day peak of 34,931. Moving on over to Ark Survival Evolved, 34,330 individuals currently playing that. The 24-hour peak, 52,779, with a 7-day peak of 66,109. And Rust, 38,216 individuals currently playing that. The 24-hour peak, 57,574, with a 7-day peak of 74,559. Let's take a look at 7 Days to Die, which is still running really strong, which I'm very happy about. 18,208 people currently playing that. The 24-hour peak, 21,553, with a 7-day peak of 30,711. Moving on over to PUBG. Just shy of 50,000 people playing in the United States as of right now. The 24-hour peak, 336,952, with a 7-day peak of 381,798. And wrapping us up finally, last Oasis, currently playing 238. The 24-hour peak, 374, with a 7-day peak of 447. And that is going to bring us current with all of the current players, Brian. And yeah, some strong numbers out of a lot of games there, including Rust, Ark, and DayZ. Surprisingly, it's got almost 20,000 people playing right now.
Because they did wrong. They just came out with that update, but who knows?
Yeah, it's not for me, I guess. I don't know. I don't have any other explanation. Yeah. I'm just not doing. I'm not rusting.
I played it once.
We're not DayZing right. We've been told we're not DayZing right. We need to play on a modded server or something. We need to get Donnie. I don't know. We need We need help. Send help, please.
I don't think he likes playing it though either. He'd rather play Arma. So well.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah.
All right. So let's go and do a tip of the week, where I give a general gaming tip or one on a specific game, even games that aren't doing so well. But we're going to do this on Last Oasis. So this is tip of the week.
Wow. Great opening. Hey, you guys want to come on our show for an interview? This is what we previously had to say about your game.
All right, so in Last Oasis, I want to talk about some of the tools and some of the resources that you can gather in the game. And hopefully as they continue to add more and more things to this game, it becomes more relevant and people start playing it more. Because as you saw from the player numbers, right now it's not great. So the initial tools that you're going to need, they've got their kind of their base set of tools that you can craft. The first one is the pickaxe. The main thing you're going to be, just like in Ark, you'll be gathering wood and stone with this. Wood, of course, you gather from trees. Stones you can find in the ground, just scattered around the ground. And initially, probably to craft some of these, you'll have to find them in that way. Once you've created your pickaxe, you can then get them from boulders. And that will be after getting a tool created, you'll primarily be gathering them with the pickaxe from boulders. Then they have a sickle, which you can use to gather fiber, aloe vera, and cattails. And some of these are for crafting, some are for food. Then they have the axe, which is for chopping wood. So from the trees, you can chop wood, but also can be used as a close combat weapon. So if you're carrying that around, that's a good dual use. Now, some other things that you'll be running as you're running around, some of the initial things, and this is all kind of early game stuff that you're seeing if you first get into the game. There's also cactus and cactus fruit. These are a good source of water because water is a very difficult thing to come across. Later, you'll get walkers that can mass gather water and hold water, but early on, you'll struggle to find water sources. So what you can do is go use a tool to either chop the cactus plants down. If you don't have a tool, however, you can pick, that's why they have the cactus fruit on there. You can pick fruit from the tree, and then that will allow you to have a source of water without having to run around and trying to find one and use a skin. So that is tip of the week.
Awesome. Very useful tip there. A little back to the basics with the game that I don't think I know anybody.
Most people haven't played it, so I figured that's gets you started. That's what you need to survive the first couple days.
I don't think I know any. No, I think there's one. I think we've got a guy or two.
We got someone. Yeah, we got some people in our group that play it, and I played with them, and it's a fun game. It's just it doesn't have all the people. You have to get a group playing it, and that's the difficult part because it is like Ark. You playing with a group or like 7 Days to Die. Sure, you can play it solo, but for us, we get a lot more enjoyment out of actually running around with our friends and playing and doing all that and building bases. So
yes, sir.
I think people would really enjoy it if they give it the opportunity.
They would. Absolutely. All right.
All right. You ready for this game giveaway?
Yeah. What do you got for us?
Okay, let's go ahead and close this. Now we'll read. All right. So congratulations to Just for Gaming. Just for Gaming. You have won a copy of Vampire the Masquerade, Coteries of New York. So a great
friend of the show doing the Lord's work. Congratulations. Yes. We appreciate it.
And I will send you a link so you can redeem this, and congratulations.
Good man. Very good man.
All right. Is there anything else we need to cover before we head on out of here?
No. Where can people find me on the internet?
Well, to find me, if you want to find me, you can find me at Brian Aldridge on Parler. Or you can go to my blog, biteoftech.com, or you can go to our website, infectionpodcast.com. There is a contact form that we don't really mention there very much, but there's ways to contact us through the website. Also, if you want to watch the video forms of the podcast, you can do that through Twitch, through YouTube, through BitChute, or DLive. We also have on there our podcast extras, which has the pre and post shows for the show. If you want to come and hang out, chat, maybe submit news topics that you think are games that you think we should be covering, you can do that through our Discord server. There's a link for that on the right, and there's a news channel. We have also in there just deals channels, various things, and a lot of people just chatting about other topics. If you want to get a notification before the live show, just join our Steam group. About 5 or so minutes before we start broadcasting, I put on a notification so you can come join us live if you happen to be at your computer. If you want to do the audio only form, so the podcast form of the podcast here, you can do that through the lower right hand side. That supports desktop apps, mobile apps, and a bunch of different things you can do there. A lot of ways that we support that happening. Also for show notes, if you want to follow along as you're watching or listening this, you can do that through our show notes. And this will be episode 297. We'll have links and videos and articles, all the things that we've referenced throughout this show to discuss. Those will be available on those. If you want to support us, you can do that financially by going to humble.infectionpodcast.com or amazon.infectionpodcast.com before you purchase on either one of those, or through the Prime Gaming subs, which you've heard some of those happen throughout the show here. And those throughout the year pretty much add up for our PAX fund, which right now is larger than normal. But as we said, we're looking at possibly purchasing some equipment that we usually have to borrow going to PAX, and maybe purchasing some that will be the podcast. So
yeah,
that is it for me.
Yep, rapidly approaching episode 300. I want to be honest with you, Brian. I'm so busy with stuff outside of work and whatnot. I don't think I'm gonna have time for any sort of special thing. I don't know what to do. We've played the first clip of the show. How many times can we play you going, oh, the game was great, I got into the server at 3 o'clock in the morning, and me going, well, it kind of sucks, actually. How many times do people need to hear that? We know it was an abomination.
Well, if people have any suggestions, of what they think we should do, maybe for our 300th episode, you're more than welcome to email us or message us in Discord. But if you can do contact@infectionpodcast.com, and that goes to both Nick and I.
Yes. All right. Well, as always, Brian, thank you very much, my friend. I greatly appreciate it. We will see you next Tuesday for another episode, and
good.
that's going to do it. Alrighty, folks.
All right,
talk to you soon as well. By the way, if you're not here live, you should be. We're here live every Tuesday night, right around 7 o'clock Eastern, here on Twitch, or on YouTube, and on DLive as well. So you can check us out on all 3 of those platforms. My name is Nick Craig. You can follow me on Twitter at Nicholas M. Craig. If you missed any portion of the show, you can check on videos, show notes, images, links, patch notes, all that fun stuff. It's on our website, infectionpodcast.com. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. Have a great week. We'll see you next time.